the President of the United States.
President Obama will deliver the first State of the Union address of his second term tonight, a roadmap to the next year as he pushes through major legislation. These addresses take on a certain ritual, of course. The president declares the state of our union to be strong. He outlines a laundry list of proposals. But looking back at the last 4 years, the evolution of these addresses tells the story of the Obama presidency.
The state of our economy.
In 2009, although not technically a State of the Union, President Obama addressed Congress at a grave moment of crisis.
That day of reckoning has arrived, and the time to take charge of our future is here. Now is the time to act boldly and wisely, to not only revive this economy, but to build a new foundation for lasting prosperity.
New Foundation was meant to brand a variety of programs on stimulus, health care, education, and clean energy. He called for a carbon cap to fight climate change. He promised to pull out of Iraq, close the Guantanamo prison, and cut the deficit in half. But New Foundation didn't catch on like the New Deal or the Great Society.
Members of Congress.
When the president returned in 2010, the economy had stabilized, but his health care plan was on the rocks.
And by now, it should be fairly obvious that I didn't take on health care because it was good politics.
By 2011, the president had pushed through health care at a cost. Republicans swept to victory in midterm elections to capture the House. Now facing a more conservative Congress, the president seized on the shooting of an Arizona congresswoman to call for unity.
Tucson reminded us that no matter who we are or where we come from, each of us is a part of something greater.
Still, he made no mention of gun control. Instead, he presented a seemingly less ideological agenda of winning the future by investing in innovation, infrastructure, and education.
These steps we've taken over the last 2 years may have broken the back of this recession. But to win the future, we'll need to take on challenges that have been decades in the making.
To Republicans, though, investments sounded like spin for more spending. By 2012, the two sides had deadlocked in a dramatic showdown over the debt ceiling. Having failed to strike a grand bargain on spending and taxes, the president led off his State of the Union boasting about his national security record instead.
For the first time in 9 years, there are no Americans fighting in Iraq. For the first time in 2 decades, Osama bin Laden is not a threat to this country.
It was a very different speech than his first. No more lofty talk about closing Guantanamo or cutting the deficit in half. His speech instead was an election manifesto, laying out his case against Republicans.
And we've come too far to turn back now. As long as I'm president, I will work with anyone in this chamber to build on this momentum. But I intend to fight obstruction with action, and I will oppose any effort to return to the very same policies that brought on this economic crisis in the first place.
Tonight, he heads back to the Capitol, having won re-election, but addressing House Republicans who also won. He plans to talk about gun control and immigration. If not a new foundation, he hopes at least it will be a new start.